White collar terrorism, as we call it now, is not a new phenomenon. Bin Laden was an engineer by profession. His number two, Al Zawahiri, was a surgeon by training. So the 9/11 bombers were all educated technocrats and educated people. So having seen this trend, now it is changing. I mean, the ISI handlers are adapting, are evolving uh, their uh, their brand of terrorism or their tactic of terrorism in Kashmir. And this is what we are seeing. One is white collar terrorism. It is very easy for a doctor to move. Everyone trusts a doctor, whether it is a police barricade or in any gathering of any sort. You would trust a doctor. So you're not looking at that man with suspicion. So it's easy for him to pass through. So we have had only one blast, and this is one module that has been unearthed that's still counting. Uh, who knows how many such sleeper cells or such modules are lying dormant? Because this module, uh, as it turns out, the planning was on even before the Pelgam carnage took place a few months ago. So, if sleeper cells or such modules uh, are able to sort of lie low, lie dormant, incognito for a long duration of time, we really don't know how many such modules are dormant or are still have the potential to become active.
Joining us now is Lieutenant General Satish Dua. He served as the Chief of Integrated Staff, with the Defense Services, and as Corps Commander of the Srinagar-based 15 Corps, he planned and executed the surgical strikes, the Uri surgical strikes in Kashmir. Thank you for joining us, sir. Sir, the clearest indication yet of a Pakistani hand in the Delhi blast. There's a Pakistani politician who is now claiming that his country had a direct role in the Delhi car blast that happened outside Red Fort. This is Anwarul Haq, the Prime Minister till 2 days ago of Pakistan occupied Kashmir. Your first thoughts on this, sir?
Aditi, thank you for having me on the show. Uh, to answer your question directly, uh, I don't think it matters if we have a Pakistani politician or any voice from Pakistan telling us that it is their hand in blast because we've known it already. Yes, it gives a context to the whole world, to the others that yes, Pakistan, someone in Pakistan is admitting to it. Uh, but the fact remains that from the very beginning, this whole thing points towards Jaish. Uh, how it started from with the poster in Srinagar, and then how it went across to Haryana, and then some raids were conducted in Uttar Pradesh, and then how it has layers have unraveled after the blast as well. So having said that, we've always seen the hand of Jaish in that. And we also know that recently in Operation Sindoor, the close family members of the Jaish Supremo, Jaish-e-Mohammed Supremo Azhar Masood, 10 or 11 family members of his were killed in Operation Sindoor, and we saw senior army officers in uniform attending their funeral. So we know that not only are they smarting after Operation Sindoor, but Jaish leaders specifically wanted to get back and they want to enlarge the scope. So enlarge the scope beyond Kashmir as well. So this is what they seem to have done, and I think the footprint is there very clearly.
The footprint is there very clearly. Yes, sir, we knew it all along. However, this open and very brazen remark, and he's doing this inside the POK assembly, and he's saying, and for the viewers who've not heard him, he said, if you that is India keep bleeding Balochistan, we will hit you from the Red Fort to the forests of Kashmir. By the grace of Allah, we have done it. Our brave men have done it. This is like, first you do something like this, and then you brazenly, openly are talking about it. I mean, is there no? This is an open admission. Why can't India take this up and then hit back in kind, just like we did in Operation Sindoor?
To my mind, operations like Operation Sindoor, for them to be launched, it has to be a leadership. At the outset, let me say, it has to be a leadership call. This can't happen by us discussing on television panels or in think tanks or newspaper articles. The issue is much larger. Uh, what the response has to be. when it should come, what form it should take. You see, when it was Uri about 9 years ago in 2016, for the first time, we decided that enough is enough because Pathankot had happened few months before that, and we decided enough is enough, and then we did those uh, border raids in multiple locations, the terrorist camp, but that was shallow. Then Balakot happened. It was a very different tactic. It was precision airstrikes deep inside at Jabba Top near Balakot. Then when Pahalgam happened, this was Operation Sindoor. This was at a deeper inside and covering the entire breadth of the country, the terror camps across the country. So the modus operandi has been different. The target selections have been different, and the response timings have been different. So, I suppose when you say now coming to your question proper as to why can't we take this up, I'm sure we're going to take it up. I'm sure we're going to take it up. Also, make dossiers and do proof to them that is happening as we talk. Because then we also need to engage with the UN. We need to engage with the world global community and tell them that this has happened and this is what we intend doing. So there is a whole gamut of different dimensions that have converged together before, uh, as we call it, a visible response. You know that like in the public in the media, we try to force a decision by media. I don't think it works this way. The leadership, political leadership, military leadership, and other intelligence agencies, other stakeholders will get together, and the leadership will take a call as to what is the appropriate response and what is the right time to do it.
Do you believe a response is being put together as we speak, sir? Going by this government and the kind of attitude and the response time they've had to Pakistan sponsored terror?
I'm sure there will be some response. If you take your mind back to Pahalgam massacre, the carnage in Pahalgam, immediately thereafter, we announced some very strong measures. That was even before the military options were being played out. We announced holding the Indus Water Treaty under abeyance. We scaled down the diplomatic staff to a very abysmal level. All that happened. Those are very strong steps. In this water treaty, unnoticed, or much brouhaha is not being created about it in the media. But the fact is, it is pinching the Punjab farmer. We will see that soon when the summer arrives. So all those are the kind of responses that go on unnoticed. So I'm sure there is some response. That is response is going to be there. What shape it takes, like I said earlier, we'll have to wait.
Especially linked modules like this Umar Nabi's white collar terror network. Now these doctors are involved, orchestrating this kind of an attack deep inside Delhi. How deep and sophisticated do you believe this white collar network of terror emanating from Pakistan has become today? What do we know beyond what's happened with the Delhi blast? Because that's immediate. But is there a background to this?
White collar terrorism, as we call it now, is not a new phenomenon. If you take your mind back to, let's say, after Article 370 was abrogated 5 years ago, 6 years ago, uh, we saw a new term called hybrid terrorist competition in Kashmir. Those were the terrorists who did not require much of training uh, because there was opportunities for recruitment and training were very less. So young boys were indoctrinated, radicalized, and to use a pistol or a hand grenade, not much of training is required, and that's what they did. We saw a murder of a chemist by in Srinagar town, or killing some immigrant laborers. That was done. The hybrid terrorists started then, who would actually commit one act of terror and then merge into the society. Only once he would break. Now we are seeing white collar terrorism, but this again in this form also is not new. More than a decade ago, when it was the Indian Mujahideen in concert with the now banned Simi, uh, there also we saw engineers and literate people coming forward into this world. So we are seeing this now. Um and it is prevalent the world over. Osama bin Laden was an engineer by profession. His number two, Al Zawahiri, was a surgeon by training. So the 9/11 bombers were all educated technocrats and educated people. So having seen this trend, now it is changing. I mean, the ISI handlers are adapting, are evolving uh, their their brand of terrorism or their tactic of terrorism in Kashmir. And this is what we are seeing. One is white collar terrorism. It is very easy for a doctor to move. Everyone trusts a doctor, whether it is a police barricade or in any gathering of any sort. You would trust a doctor, so you're not looking at that man with suspicion. So it's easy for him to pass through in many places. So we are seeing this now, firstly enlarged out of it has been taken out of script. It's hitting the this one is hitting the symbol of nationhood. When you attack Red Fort, Qutub Minar, such places are symbols of nationhood, our country. So that's what is being done. Uh, to my mind, and the number of doctors that have been arrested, number of other people, those running the universities, the teachers, the faculty, people who are being arrested as NIA sort of widens the dragnet. We know how many people are involved. So such this is one terror module that was discovered. In fact, it was discovered. The potential of what has been found so far was of making 32 bombs, and indications that have come out in the media say that this was going to be planned around or before December 6th to mark the anniversary of the Babri Masjid, the structure demolition. So if if that carnage had been there, it would have been very serious. So we have had only one blast, and this is one module that has been that's still counting. Uh, who knows how many such sleeper cells or such modules are lying dormant? Because this module, uh, as it turns out, the planning was on even before the Pelgam carnage took place a few months ago. So if sleeper cells or such modules uh, are able to sort of lie low, lie dormant, incognito for a long duration of time, we really don't know how many such modules are dormant or are still have the potential to become active. So I think we will have to change the security forces, the intelligence agencies will have to change their focus, will have to change their tactics, will have to sort of have more, should I use the army term, listening post to catch to finger of the pulse or keep an ear to the ground. I think we are going to see a shift in these things as well.
Sir, you said earlier that after Operation Sindoor, Jaish was going to hit back, and now you've linked it to all the sleeper cells which are there, and they probably just need a nudge from Jaish to sort of become active. But Jaish carrying out these attacks in India or wanting to take revenge for Operation Sindoor versus the Pakistani state, in this case, this gentleman Anwar ul Haq, openly boasting about having done this. Does this not sort of amount to a confession of state sponsored terror, which Pakistan says it doesn't indulge into?
Anwar's statement, to my mind, is trying to kill two birds with a stone. They are trying to brag about it, and they are also trying to link it with an allegation that India is involved in Baluch terror attacks. So they're trying to link the two together. So such statements, choreographed or not, or whether they're wild cards, will take place. Uh, we it only lends little more credence to what we have been saying so far. That it's an attack, this time it ostensibly clearly from Jaish-e-Mohammed, but their handlers are ISI. We saw how Pakistan Army officers participated in the funerals of his relatives. We see that Jaish and LET leaders move around giving speeches very clearly, even when they're supposed to be uh, quote unquote in jail. Uh, this is they put out a different face for FATF and the global community, and in reality, the fact is something else.
True, sir. You said that India is already is already must be already the Indian stakeholders must be already calibrating their response to this act of terror from Pakistan from across the border. But if you were part of that circle, sir, what immediate counter measures or counter-terror responses would you advocate in this scenario?
Aditi, we've been over this a couple of times, and I would still say there are two sets of measures. One is how we are going to counter to these, how we are going to respond to these terror attacks across the border on their perpetrators or their hackers. On the other hand, what is also equally, if not more important, is to set our house in order, clean up our act. For instance, we also have to understand, we just spoke about how we must keep a watch on such potential groups or government cells. But on the other hand, we also have to understand that such terror modules, especially educated people, white collar terrorism, as we're talking about, in such cases, it is not possible that the security forces or intelligence agencies can do that by themselves. We need a very big community outreach. We need the involvement of civil society because only civil society can throw up such people, can identify such people. Uh, in examples around the world, if you look at Ireland, uh, 3 decades ago, or if you look at the examples of Singapore where de-radicalization was carried out, closer home, the example of Mizoram, of Punjab, all these were solved only because of a very vibrant community outreach and I dare say the involvement of civil society in Punjab, that is in our living memories. All of us seen that happen. In Punjab, it was the mothers who were sort of in vogue, and they all said when the civil society said enough is enough, we could find success. So I think we'll have to not only think of the responses outside, we have which is a continuous. What is a continuous process is how to prevent recurrence within our own home and we need to resolve we need to sort of take action a very whole of government approach, whole of society approach, and we need to act on that as well if we want to prevent recurrence of such attacks. Because, like that old message IRA sent to Margaret Thatcher then, saying that you need to get lucky every time, and we need to get lucky only once. So that's the principle that is being followed between the security forces, intelligence agencies on one hand, and the terrorist organizations on the other hand.
From what I hear you saying, I think, sir, I was part of. There was a Claw had put out a seminar a few days ago. It was part of the China Care Dialogues Youth Voice, and they talked about, and I was asked to speak about, and it's a subject which has become very close to my heart, which is about participation of youth in India's defense. And and that does not just mean boots on the ground. That just does not mean the army, military, army, navy, and the air force. But it means everyone, every Indian is somebody who needs to come forward for the defense of this country. And that's the sort of attitude I'm assuming that you are talking about here.
I was present there
I
myself
was
at that
present there myself
seminar
at the.
where Mr. Rajiv Chandrasekhar spoke earlier, and your panel discussion followed after the break. Uh, you, you're right. That's what we were talking about. And here, it is not only we have to motivate the youth because they are the leaders of tomorrow. They are our few country's future. But when I say civil society, I actually mean every citizen has to become responsible. Every citizen has to consider it his sacred duty. If you see somebody, if you see something suspicious, report it to the nearest authority. If you see someone who's with suspicious activities, you need to report it. We have to understand that this has to be a collective effort. If you are hiring a tenant, you must do the due diligence. Such like things will go a long way. For example, here it is proven how they manage to get a room somewhere, how they rent accommodation somewhere because someone else helped them, and things like that. So I think we will have to evolve a whole new paradigm. Uh, I'm not saying you man with suspicion and start sort of becoming suspicious about your neighbor, but the fact remains that if there is something untoward, we have to develop that keen sense and eye to pick out such potential trouble spots.
and spreading awareness amongst everyone and doing it from a very young age perhaps is so that every citizen is sort of ready to defend the country and not just leave it to those in uniform or our security forces. But thank you so much for joining us, sir, and thank you for those insights. We look forward to hearing from you again. Viewers, stay tuned.